Hey guys, we're actually going to be going live here shortly. We're already live, but go ahead and get your questions in. Go ahead and start answering your questions or listing them out, commenting on the live video, and that way we'll go ahead and get to them. Today's going to be about GMB hacks and tips. We're going to go through some quick hacks and tips when dealing with Google My Business, Google My Business hacks and tips. Google My Business hacks and tips. That's Google My Business hacks and tips. I'll also be answering some questions in the groups. But if you could, go ahead and make sure you subscribe. And of course, like this video and make sure you comment and ask questions. Therefore, we can get to some of the most important questions you have when it comes to getting rankings on Google My Business. Okay, make sure you ask your questions and comment here either in Facebook or on the YouTube channel, because we're going to be going over everything. All your questions you may have, we're going to deal with them, okay? I'll go ahead and post this in the group for everybody that's wanting to see it. And we have these events 5 days a week, and we go over everything from how to generate income to with Google My Business to just tips and tricks to doing live audits to CTR manipulation. We cover a little bit of everything. So glad to have you here, all of our viewers. Let's get started. So let's go and go through the website if on the Facebook group. All right, what's the best website structure for multi-location, multi-service business? And I actually had someone do a poll in this regards earlier. And one of the things that was mentioned was, should you do multi-location, or how to set up your structure of your services, slash city, etc., and how would I structure it? So let me go ahead and open a notepad. We could use whiteboard, but notepad's easier. So if your website, let's say for example, is domainname.com, a lot of people would wind up doing it this way. They'd wind up putting services / city. That is honestly a waste of structure. It's a waste of time. What I personally would do is your main keyword according to the GMB GCID, which we can find from plepper.com. And I'll show you guys that. All right. / neighborhood or / city. We could do it this way, your main city, and then / neighborhood. You could break it down even further like that, or just the city. Let's say you're in multiple cities. Maybe you're in one city, but you serve multiple neighborhoods. We could do all that sort of thing. So this is how I would set it up. Now, however, if I had multiple locations, I would tend to say get multiple GMBs. Why do I say get multiple GMBs? I say get multiple GMBs because you're going to be spreading your proximity and your location. And I'll give you a prime example of this. Let's say I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, right? And let's say I'm a roofer in Atlanta, Georgia. And let's say I'm Bell Roofing, right? And Bell Roofing is right here. And you can see this on the screen, and you see Bell Roofing is just right here, right? Okay. And it's pretty close to Atlanta center. But what if I didn't want to just get rankings, and let's say their GeoGrid and is green as it can be, green as your mama's green thumb, right on top of it right here in this little area. But then I also have a location in Adamsville. And I also have a location in College Park. And I also have a location in Clarkston. Most people are going to say, well, just put them all on one page and put a bunch of cities and all these various cities and all your various neighborhoods. I personally believe that's a waste of fucking time. I would personally rather do it this way. I would personally have one website for Atlanta, one website for Adamsville, one website for East Point, one website for North Decatur, one website for Chandler McPhee, one website for Panthersville. And then I would also get separate GMBs in each of these. Now, why would I do that? Because I can now optimize the whole site for each and every city. Okay, I'm essentially creating a PBN, but I'm creating multiple websites for multiple GMBs in multiple cities, each of which are all going to be optimized specifically for that specific city. Instead of me trying to sit here and just optimize for, let's say, 10 different cities around Atlanta on a website that's supposed to be geared towards Atlanta. It makes absolutely no sense. The only way in which I would ever do that is if I had separate GMBs still, and then I attached each of those city pages to its own GMB with its own landing page. And even then, I would not suggest doing it that way. I still believe you should get a separate website with a separate GMB per city and optimize it. And why would I do that? Now, instead of me just ranking in Atlanta, now I have, let's say, 6 other GMBs surrounding Atlanta. This is a green geogrid here. This is green, this is green, this is green, this is green. And I start taking over the entire greater Atlanta area and the surrounding cities, and I dominate the entire area. Instead of struggling to get domination in one area and trying in multiple areas, I'll do it that way. Now, the other little tool I love to use, and y'all will see me use it quite often, besides GMB Crush, is going to be Plepper. Okay, Plepper, one of the things on here, you can look at your GMB categories. I have this in the GMB sheet as well. If you go to my Google Drive and you request my GMB toolkit, which I give everybody, I have all the business categories, which Bradley has so kindly given me, and organize them in alphabetical order, right? So, for instance, if I was a Cadillac dealer, in this case, your main keyword would be Cadillac-dealer, okay? But this toolkit that I give away has my ebook in it, the audit form, reverse engineering, how to do your press releases, your buyer intent spreadsheet, your GMB audit form, your GMB posts, everything you could possibly want when it comes to GMB. With just one of these sheets alone, this one right here has about, I believe, about 15 different separate sheets. Okay. Then I even list out all the tools that I use here when it comes to GMB and keyword research, syndication, CTR manipulation, social media, etc. So you're going to want to get that toolkit. If you haven't, it is free. Let's see, any other questions we got? Make sure to drop them in chat on YouTube or in Facebook, and I will gladly answer them. Let's see what other questions we got from our audience members. Everybody, hello, good morning. Good morning, Greg. Chris Honey, good morning. Jeffrey, you're like Hitler, you will dominate. No, nothing like him. The link for the freebies is going to be our GMB toolkit, and I will drop that in as well. Thank you, Jeff, for the reminder. Grab the link, and I will post it in there so y'all can grab it and have at it. Let's see what other questions we got here. Make sure you post your comments on the YouTube live so we can get those comments going live, okay? Which plugin or method do I use to insert schema into WordPress? Okay, there's a few. I don't use any plugin yet to insert schema or create schema such as Yoast or Rank Math. We're actually just maybe a week away from releasing our schema plugin for WordPress, which will actually do advanced schema, not your mama's or grandmama's schema. I'm talking about schema that's 40 to 60 pages worth of schema. And then I also have a location pages plugin coming up, and things to do, places to go, how I build my location pack stack specifically for neighborhoods, surrounding cities, etc. And that plugin should be ready by next week. And that is specifically for the neighborhood pages. But for schema, for example, all you need really is, for instance, WordPress plugin insert header PHP, right? You go here, he has this one right here, insert headers, footers. I mean, I literally go into WordPress and I look at the plugins. That is generally the main one I'm going to use. Insert header, footer. That's it. It's nothing complicated. You're going to take your schema, you're going to insert it in the header, footer, and then you're good to go per each page. Okay, let's see what other questions we got here. Ask any questions you got. Agnes, we are live right now. Agnes. Let's see what else we got. Drop any questions you may have. We're going to be here for about 30 more minutes. And that's about it because I have another class. Sorry I was late. I was in the midst of getting a massage because my ankles and feet killing me. So running a few specials on websites. I actually dropped the website special from 20 pages to a 10-page website special, and then a whole stack for the 20-page website plus the SEO plus all the stacks I normally give out with all of my current SEO plans. All right, let's see here. Any of these gentlemen in here giving away, if you will, audits, make sure to comment. And these are all students that I have actually trained on how to do audits. If you insist and want it done by me, then drop me an email and I'll definitely do it for you. I'd love to. So if you're not in my GMB Masterclass Reloaded, Jesper was on there yesterday, in which we were talking about Twitter moments for local SEO. It is very, very powerful. And next we'll probably be discussing tumblers. So George mentions here a tool for geotagging. The tool that I usually use is actually GeoImager. So GeoImager, essentially, let me shut all this down. GeoImager, if I was inside of GeoImager, let me shut all this code down. You know, I can upload, if you will, images to GeoImager, put in the latitude, the longitude, etc. And let me open it. So I could drag and drop a photo in here. Let's just grab a photo. Let's say this. Right, and I can choose the place or type in the name. Let's say I wanted it to be Atlanta, Georgia, right? And it's going to now put your latitude and longitude for that area on this image. I can then also show existing latitude and longitude if there is any there. I actually shared the drive link in the group on the live. You can also add in keywords. Let's say we're going to call it Google My Business, GMB, SEO, Google My Business, SEO, etc. And then I can put in a description down here if I wanted to. For example, Google My Business. Just for an example. And then I could write the XF tags. And then after it's written the XF tags, I can download this. And whenever I download this image, now it's going to save that with all that data. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, that data is going to be scraped off whenever I upload it to GMB or Google My Business, or if I try to use it in a post. But the simple fact is, you can also still use it on your website. You can still use it on your other assets, your Web 20 assets, Facebook, Weebly, Wix, WordPress, any Web 20 assets that you have, you can still use it there, and it will not scrape that data off of it. And matter of fact, it will upload it. You can also take these images, and whenever you're creating your Azure cloud stacks, etc. I don't have, let me pull one. Don't think I saved it this morning, but nevertheless, you do cloud stacks. Whenever you do cloud stacks on, let's say, Amazon, Azure, Google, Microsoft, etc., you can upload those images on your cloud stacks, and then it saves this XF data. Same way you'd want to embed your maps and do keyword insertions in your map stacks, okay? Why am I doing this? Because I'm also creating, if you will, geocentric data by using the latitude and longitude. Another trick you can use is whenever you want to use specific images specifically for, let's say, an area, you can grab images from off of Wikipedia and hot link them, copy them, insert them, right? Because this is attached to Wikipedia information with the lat and longitude information and surrounding areas and nicknames. And I would upload those onto a cloud stack. Now, another thing we can do as well, since we're on the topic of images, let's say we were looking to use an image on YouTube or use an image on our GMB posts, and let's say it was for a roofer in Atlanta or roof repair, something like that, right? I know what you're going to say. Can't be using other people's images, which is true. But in the first 4 sections right here, you're going to have the images that Google is recognizing, and you're going to see, okay, for instance, the title, the description, etc. And what we can do is, for instance, if we took this image right here and we wanted to make this into a GMB post, or an image right here, and we wanted to take this and make this an image post, a couple of things we can do, especially with video, but we're going to get into just a couple of image things. So let me open up Adobe Photoshop and I'll show you just a few little tricks that I personally still do. A lot of this is just going to be black hat tactics when it comes to images. So what we could do, let's say we're going to create a post. And let's say we were going to wind up putting our own little roofing logo on here. I'm just going to grab a roof logo just to show you for an example. Let's say it was, just out of curiosity, it was one of these like this. Copy image. Let's say, because Google recognizes, what most people understand, Google recognizes the image with this AI. So if you're using a company logo, phone number, any of that in the image, Google does recognize that. And I know some people are going to say, well, it's against Google's terms of service. I really don't give a shit. Sometimes, yes, Google will reject a post because of violations in their terms of service. Sometimes they won't. So I will try to get away with as much as possible when it comes to Google's terms of services. I'm just saying, that's me. That's what I do. You may not be comfortable with it, and that is you. Now, let's say, for example, I put the logo up here, and maybe I put a stroke on it. I'm just trying to do this for example purposes, so bear with me. And then I put down here, I'll put another image. And let's say this image is going to be, you could do it red or so if you wanted to. Wanted to do it that color. It's up to you, really. Color overlay. Maybe let's leave it black. And then we're going to do the text. And maybe do the text white. And let's say we're going to do the phone number. And let's just say for all intents and purposes. See, the thing is, Google recognizes this information and their AI. Let's say this specific topic is going to be about tile roofing or roofing repairs. Let's say call today for your roof repairs. Right. So let's just say it's that. So Google's AI is going to recognize my image up here. It's going to recognize the fact that I have this keyword in here. I would also want to put the location in Atlanta. Let's just say it's in Atlanta for all intents and purposes. Its AI will recognize the phone number. Now, what's another thing we could do? So another thing we can do, since we got all this gray area in here, this gets into a little bit of black hattish type gray hat maybe. We're going to take the gray right here in this little area, and then I'm going to create an overlay. An overlay is simply text or a graphic or something I put over a specific area. All right, I'm going to make the text really, really, really small. Almost so small your naked eye is not going to be able to see it. And for all intents and purposes, let's go over to SEMrush, or we could even type in, I mean, you could go to SEMrush and get this. It's one way of getting it. And for example, if we wanted to go to the keyword magic tool, we type in, for example, roof repair Atlanta. And SEMrush is going to come back with a bunch of different keywords, and we have them all here. We put them in export. We export this as a CSV. I'm going to do this on the desktop. And now I have all the keywords that I want. Let's say we're just going to take about that many for right now. And now I have all these keywords. Of course, we're going to want commas between everything. All right. But for all intents and purposes, I just kind of want to show you the quick and dirty of this. So let's say we got all the keywords and that was all of them. And we're going to take this and we're going to stuff this image with as many keywords as possible, right? And then we're going to choose the color that we want. Let's say it's in here. It's like a light gray. I'll move it down. And then we're going to drop an opacity on that specific text to the point that your naked eye cannot see it. But Google's AI does see it. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to upload it as a post on a GMB. You could use it for that purpose. You can also use it for the purpose of a YouTube video. One thing you do want to do whenever you're going to use someone else's image is definitely change it a little bit, or as I do, flip them. That way no one can come back at you and say, hey, you used their shit, and then they get pissed off, and then they want to cry, especially when they're not ranking and you are. So there you have it. Image is flipped. It's a unique image. It's not the same image. The point is I'm grabbing an image that Google's already recognizing in the image search. I'm putting the logo of the company. I'm putting their main keyword, their city, the phone number, and I'm embedding over this their text. Now, when you're doing a video and you use Wave Video Maker, you can also as well do voiceovers using keywords. And you can also do, for example, when we do a Wave video, we take a blog post and upload it, and it takes that entire blog post and puts it in the video. But then if you're also reading it and doing a voiceover of that same said text that is SEO optimized, Google/YouTube's AI would pick up on it, and it will help your rankings drastically on YouTube, especially if you start slapping some CTR manipulation on it as well. That's some image techniques that we'll use, and then we would also upload those as well. Go back here and see if we got any more questions, because I got quite a bit of people coming in here asking some questions in regards to the video. Okay, can these websites and GMBs have duplicate content? What GMBs and websites? Okay, duplicate content. Let's just talk about duplicate content for a bit. So duplicate content is essentially, it's not taking content on your site and putting it on a different site. Duplicate content, you know, because if that was the case, press releases wouldn't work, newspapers would be out of business, and they just wouldn't rank. But now if we want to talk about what real duplicate content is where I take the same text, put it on the same website, just on a different page, maybe changing the words just a little bit. That is true duplicate content. Now, I have had people come to me and say, well, then your neighborhood pages are duplicate content, because I essentially, all I do is I take on the neighborhood pages that we create, or city pages, we take the neighborhoods, or we take all your services and stack them on there. The only thing we change are the headers. However, the other thing that we're adding on those pages that most people are not, when they create a neighborhood page and then says it's not indexing, all of ours index every time when you use the stack the way Rank Fortress does it. What are we putting on there that makes it different? City information, city neighborhoods, things to do, places to go, driving directions sometimes, a map embed, keyword insertions, etc., etc. All right. So that's to answer your question in regards to duplicate content. Location pages, if they don't have that added information on it that I add to it, yes, it would be a duplicate content, and then likely wouldn't even index. And if it does index, it would also create what we call cannibalization, where you have one page trying to outrank another because it has the same content as the other pages. In our case, that does not happen because of the sheer fact that we have all the other stack that's involved on my neighborhood pages. Now, what you will see when you see our new plugin that we're coming out with simply installing the plugin and using a short code for your city, it's going to pull all that data from Google for your location pages. Since everybody's asking about location pages, we'll talk about that. Things to do. So Google gives you all this information, right? One things to do. You see this right here. It says Atlanta, tells you all about Atlanta. What's the area size? What's the local time? What's the weather like? Who's the mayor? What's the population? Latitude, longitude, events, neighborhoods, everything, right? Here's all the neighborhoods in Atlanta. It tells you, it pulls the top 60. It won't pull any more than that because Google doesn't want you data scraping, if you will. Then it's going to take all this information right here, top sites, neighborhoods, and it's going to also do what we do on our map embed, which is hyperlink all of these neighborhoods that you see listed here to the GMap of that actual neighborhood. Travel articles, all that's actually going to be in there. So pretty soon, within the next few days, I'm going to have that completely done. So let's see if we got any more questions. All the locations, Chef, are found on Google. You know, really go to the neighborhoods just like I just showed you right here, down here. If you look up Atlanta, down here in the bottom right says neighborhoods, downtown Atlanta, midtown Atlanta, more. And if you click on more, it shows you all of the neighborhoods. And I have people will say, well, why would you want to do that? So if you've ever typed in, let's just type in Atlanta, Georgia. What's something that you notice first thing on this map that Google is really telling you is important about the city? They're giving you the facts about Atlanta, things to do, hotels, neighborhoods, photos, etc. Up here at the top, you'll notice restaurants, hotels, attractions, museum, and transit. So when I tell someone that their website should reflect their GMB, what I'm essentially saying is the things that Google is showing you is important to Google My Business and Maps, that information should be placed and your website should be structured after a GMB. Hopefully that answered your questions. Wikipedia is another place. I don't usually have to go there. Sometimes you will. Let's say, for example, let's just get out of this area and let's go, let's say, Brisbane suburbs, and see if it will give it to us this way without having to do it. So for Australia, I know specifically you're going to have to go to Wikipedia, and it will generally give you a complete breakdown of all the Brisbane suburbs, not on just Google. So you would have that information all in here, and it gives you all the suburbs. Another great asset is Wikipedia, which is many times overlooked. Let's try it one other way and see if Google will still give it to us. And no. In this case, you're going to have to use Wikipedia. That's specifically for Australia, but for the States and the USA, you don't have to. All right, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and go. It's been good chatting with you guys this night. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will be again back tomorrow to talk about CTR manipulation. All right, guys, have a great day and go out there and dominate Google My Business.